Hello everyone, I am Shashank Gupta, a senior research fellow at the Department of Astrophysics and Cosmology. I am working under Professor Archan S. Majumdar, and today I shall be talking about genuine Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen theory of three-qubit states by multiple sequential observers. This work has been done in collaboration with these generous people, and details can be found in this particular publication. Let me use this opportunity to thank the organizers of BOSFest 2021 for giving me a chance to present my work. So before discussing about specific questions and our contribution through this work, let us consider the conclusions of previous studies. So previously people have found that a quantum state can be in superpositions of many states, and it is the measurement that gives one particular eigenstate of the measurement. So this is basically the Copenhagen interpretation, which says that measurement collapses the superposition of the states, and the outcome of a measurement is one particular eigenstate. In this directions, people have also shown that if two states are sharing some maximal quantum correlations, then there is restriction between sharing of the correlations with other parties, and this comes under monogamy relations. People have derived monogamy relations for several correlations like entanglement, steering, and others. Also, quantum state preparation and maintenance are extremely hard problems because quantum correlations are fragile and they decohere under the action of environmental noises. So the specific questions that we have asked: whether it is possible to share the quantum resource contains in one particular copy of the state between multiple observers, where quantum advantage is gained in each round of this sharing. So earlier also people have asked this question for other correlations, basically entanglement, steering, and non-locality. However, most of these work were confined to bipartite system, which means the correlations were shared between only two parties. We moved ahead, and in our paper we have considered the scenario of tripartite steering, basically genuine tripartite steering, and we have found the upper bound on the number of parties that can share this particular correlation. Okay, so let us first consider the scenario of EPR steering. For this, consider the joint state shared between two parties A and B, and if the state can be written in this form, which is the convex combination of local states of two parts, then it is a separable state and it contains no entanglement. Steering comes in scenario of asymmetry, where one of the subsystem is uncharacterized, in this case A. A has no information about its inner working and it can be treated as black box, whereas other party B has full information of its subsystem. So steering comes into picture when, depending upon the input and output that this party has performed, can steer the conditional state on other party, basically B in this case. And you can see that there is no constraint between the distance of two parties. So in principle, these two parties can be spatially separated. So if the conditional state on B side, sorry for the typo, can be written in this particular form, which is a local hidden state model, because it depends upon the local probability distribution on A side and deterministic conditional state on B side. So if the conditional state can be written in this form, then it describes that A cannot steer the states on Bob side, otherwise it can, basically. So the steering can be detected using logical contradictions, uncertainty relations, and there are inequalities also whose violation demonstrate steering. And detection of steering implies entanglement but not otherwise. Basically there are states which are entangled but they are not steerable. So moving ahead, in the tripartite case, there are three parties, basically A, B, and C, and if they share such a state which is a separable state between all three parties, or they can share a biseparable state which could be a combination of three kind of state where two states are entangled and other is separable. So in this particular case, B and C are entangled and A is separable with B and C. Here A and C are entangled and separable with B. The third case is straightforward. So as I stated earlier, steering comes into asymmetric case, and there can be two asymmetric case depending upon the number of parties which are uncharacterized. So in first case, only one party is uncharacterized, Alice in this case, and depending upon the input and output that Alice obtains, it can steer the joint state of Bob and Charlie. So whether they share this state or this state, steering or genuine steering will come into picture. So if it can, the joint state can be written in this form, then it implies that Alice cannot steer either B or C. And if it cannot be written in this form, then it implies Alice cannot steer the joint state of B and C. And if it can be written in this form, it implies that they share this kind of state. So, and if it cannot be written both in this form, then it implies that the shared correlations are genuine entanglement, and it will come under the framework of genuine steering. And similarly, the two-sided case, two parties are uncharacterized, and depending upon whether they share this state or this state, can be written in this form. And when they cannot be written both in this form, then it implies the scenario of genuine tripartite steering in two-sided device independent case. So how to detect genuine tripartite steering? So there are inequalities that people have derived, which contains two-party correlation terms or three-party correlation terms, and they can detect steering of GSZ or W state. And I will describe the specific form in next slide. And based on the violation of this state, it will demonstrate genuine steering in particular scenario. So let me remind once again and quantify the correlation that I asked in the initial slides. So we ask specifically whether a single copy of resourceful state which is shared between more than two parties can be sequentially shared multiple times, where there are more number of observers. Basically they are more than m or 2 in this case. So we have considered the shared state to be either GSZ or W states, and we have considered all possible combinations, and we have asked whether multiple observers can be trusted or they can be untrusted, and we have done calculation for both scenarios. So what is the technique that we have used? So we have used the technique of unsharp measurements, which are kind of weak measurement. So it is a combination of sharp measurement with identity, where lambda is the unsharpness parameter. So depending upon whether the sequential party getting outcome plus or minus 1, the post measured state can be given in this form or this form, and we have considered biased or unbiased case. In the biased case, the probability of getting plus minus outcome could be different. In the unbiased case, it is same. So we have considered both the scenario A and B, where in scenario A we have considered uncharacterized party or untrusted party, which is Alice, and in scenario B we have considered characterized party, which are Charlie's, and B or the case of Bob, multiple Bob, is similar to multiple Alice or Charlie, depending upon whether it is one-sided or two-sided case. So let us now consider the results. In one-sided device independent case, you can see that at most 3 Alices can come into picture when GSZ state is shared, and similarly the other case are straightforward, and the conclusion is more than one party can come into picture when the sequential part is performing unsharp measurement. Okay, so this is the conclusion, that in one-sided device independent scenario, steering is possible for the larger range of unsharpness parameter. So what are the open problems in this direction? So this sequential sharing has security implication, and multiple eavesdropper can perform unsharpness measurement and can get secret information, and it can break this quantum key distribution network. And unbounded number of observers are also come into picture in some of the studies that people have devised, and there is scope for deriving other techniques in this particular directions. So we will consider this analysis for other resource in our future directions, and we will also particularly interested in to answer this question whether unsharp measurements are boon or bane for this quantum information theory. And let me use this particular opportunity to thank all my collaborators from this institute and other places for their timely contributions through my PhD journey. Thank you.